The current WTA player Eala is now being compared to as she exits the Qatar Open. Alexandra Eala's Qatar Open campaign has come to an end at the first hurdle. When Eala saved 3 consecutive set points in the first set tiebreak, it seemed Eala was about to produce another miracle after her stunning comeback victory in Abu Dhabi. However, she eventually lost the tiebreak 8-6 and faded thereafter, eventually losing the match 7-6, 6-1. It was a disappointing loss for Eala, who faced a player 2 years her junior. However, the Filipina can take pride in the fight she showed once again, and she will now turn her attention to her next WTA Tour event, which is yet to be confirmed. Ahead of the contest, Eala was compared to a current WTA star, a player who has previously made a Grand Slam final. Alexandra Eala is compared to Leylah Fernandez. While Eala and Valentova were warming up on Monday, Tina Cruzan discussed the Filipina's game and her potential stardom while commentating for Sky Sports. Cruzan, the former world number 19, said, "A lefty, good serve, good ground strokes, moves well. Reminds me a little bit of Leylah Fernandez, pictured below, but she has got slightly heavier shots from the baseline. Certainly a lot of potential already, even to make it higher than she already is, ranked 40 in the world." Eala and Valentova, both made a big jump in the last couple of years actually. 2 years ago, Eala was around 160 in the rankings, so a big jump for her. Especially after Miami when she beat Swiatek. I mean, that's a big win at the highest level when you're able to do that, and she managed to do that really well. She's had a decent season this year. Semi-final in Auckland and quarter-final in Abu Dhabi last week. After her performance in Abu Dhabi, Eala became the first Filipina in history to break into the WTA top 40. Who would bet against Eala continuing her rise up the rankings throughout 2026? The Filipina has the ground strokes of a top 20 player and has consistently demonstrated the fight needed to take her game to the very top. Alex Eala's serve continues to be a weakness. Alex Eala's serve is far from a strength, and on Monday, this weakness came to the fore once again. Eala faced 7 breakpoints on her own serve, with Valentova converting on 4 occasions. She also won only 56% of her first serve points and 47% of all points on her second serve. While Valentova won a lower percentage of second serve points, 44%, she was dominant on her first serve, hitting 4 aces and winning 75% of those points. If Eala is to become a true star of the sport, she must find a way of improving the speed and power of her serve. As things currently lie, Eala has to put in so much effort on her ground strokes to win points, sapping her energy and offering her opponent opportunities to capitalize. With a more powerful serve, Eala would win more cheap points, giving herself more breathing room during her service games, ultimately improving the efficiency of her overall game. Alex Eala, Between the Lines, Comparisons, Challenge, and the Craft of Becoming. Alexandra Alex Eala's rise in women's tennis is not just about wins and losses, it's a story of ambition, identity, and expectations, both internal and external. As the 20-year-old Filipina exited the 2026 Qatar TotalEnergies Open earlier than many hoped, conversations aren't just about scores on a scoreboard, they're about what her career signifies, who she is compared to, and how the tennis world views her future. Her first-round loss at the Qatar Open, a 7-6, 6, 6-1 defeat to Czech rising star Tereza Valentova, was disappointing in isolation, but it carries deeper layers of meaning in the grand narrative of her young career. 1. A snapshot, Eala at the Qatar Open, the match and the moment. At the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex in Doha, Eala's campaign concluded in the round of 64. She fought hard in a tight opening set, trading blows with Valentova and pushing the Czech to a tiebreak, but ultimately the momentum slipped away in the second set. It's the kind of result that reminds fans and pundits alike that progress in tennis, especially for young talents, is rarely linear. Losing early in a WTA 1000 event doesn't diminish her status, rather, it highlights where she is, on the cusp of breakthrough but still forging consistency. This exit might seem abrupt, but it comes at a time when Eala is already making history in her own right. She recently climbed to a career-high world number 40 in the WTA rankings, a milestone that makes her one of the most notable stories on tour this season. 2. Comparisons, the Leylah Fernandez parallel. Some in the tennis community have begun to compare Alex Eala to Leylah Fernandez, the Canadian who burst onto the scene with her thrilling run to the 2021 US Open final. On the surface, this makes sense. Both are young, left-handed fighters with impressive court craft and the ability to energize crowds. Fernandez's ability to punch above her ranking, especially on big stages, reminds many of Eala's gutsy performances, such as her breakthrough in Miami where she stunned top-ranked players and entered the semifinals of a big event. But Eala herself has pushed back on direct comparisons, acknowledging Fernandez as a great player yet insisting her own path and style are unique. In her own words, she plays in her own way, a statement that underscores how Eala sees her identity beyond any mirror held up by pundits or headlines. Comparisons like these are double-edged. On one hand, they signify respect and recognition. On the other, they can unintentionally box a young athlete into narratives she hasn't fully defined. In Eala's case, rather than seeing herself as a shadow of another player, she sees her game as its own story, a narrative built from her journey in the Philippines, her training in Spain, and her battles across the globe. 3. The growth story, more than rankings. Eala's journey to the elite levels of women's tennis hasn't been simple or sudden. It has been steady, marked by historic achievements and bold steps forward. Before 2025, Eala was a promising name, a former junior Grand Slam champion and a host of solid ITF results. But in the 2025 season, her profile exploded, from becoming the first Filipino ever to reach a WTA Tour final, at the Eastbourne Open, to reaching the semifinals of Miami, where she took down top-ranked opponents along the way. Those results weren't just statistical milestones, they were symbolic statements. She belonged in the conversation among the world's best. When fans saw her topple elite names or compete toe-to-toe with seasoned tour veterans, it wasn't merely about upsets, it was about the arrival of a new kind of presence on the WTA Tour. That progress has been reflected in her ranking, from outside the top 50 at the start of the year to cracking the top 40 by early February 2026, a testament to sustained performance across multiple events. The Qatar Open loss might feel like a step back, but in the broader context, it's a learning moment in an otherwise steep upward trajectory. 4. Beyond tennis, what Eala represents. For many Filipinos, and tennis fans in Southeast Asia, Eala is more than an athlete. She's a symbol of possibility, a rare global breakthrough performer from a region that historically hasn't had many tennis representatives at the highest levels. Her achievements.